G'day, I'm Nurchin, and today we're taking to the skies in search of the mighty Thunderbird. The Thunderbird is a large avian cryptid from the United States. Some people use the word Thunderbird to describe any large cryptozoological bird from around North America, but today we're talking about the OG, the original Thunderbird that even made appearances in Native American mythology. But more on that later. The Thunderbird lives up on the cloudy mountaintops, rarely seen by humans. It's coloured a deep brown and it's covered in feathers and leathery hide. They have sharp talons, which means they're a predator, and a sharp beak or a snout full of teeth depending on the report. Its name, the Thunderbird, comes from its immense size, apparently being able to cause claps of thunder with each flap of its wings. Right, it's huge, but just how huge is it? Well, the reports are a bit inconsistent, with most witnesses saying its wingspan is around 3 to 4 meters, while some say its wingspan is well over 100 meters. Yep, there are reports from both ends of the spectrum. There's one story where a 10-year-old boy manages to fight his way out of the Thunderbird's grasp, while other stories say the Thunderbird could rip whales clean out of the ocean. That is so big. To be honest, kind of too big. This may be due to the Thunderbird taking part in Native American mythology. Now, I'd rather keep the exploration of mythology and cryptozoology separate, but in the case of the Thunderbird, the line's kinda blurry. The Thunderbird was a legendary creature from North American native mythology. It was a giant bird that defended the earth from the underwater panther of the underworld, using its raw strength and elemental control of lightning and thunder. Now, I'm fairly sure that's mythology. Just a hunch. It was a symbol of power, often depicted with a sort of X shape, and was believed to protect warriors in battle. You may assume it would be simple enough to separate reality from fiction here, but some of the eyewitness accounts don't make this easy. Not only do some of the reports support the Thunderbird's enormous size, but they also support its control over the elements as well. Not as far as the proposed shooting lightning from its eyes though, but it is said to brew storms as it flies, with electricity crackling off its body. Okay, so there's lots to unpack here and it's getting confusing, but don't worry, there's still more to confuse. The problem with nailing down this cryptid is that the word Thunderbird is very cool. That's not even an opinion, that's science. So to clear things up a bit, I'm going to clarify some of the things this cryptid isn't. Computer software, feature-length film, or a series that pretends puppets aren't creepy. It isn't a band from the 1960s or an album or song. It isn't a sports team, aeroplane, train, car, motorbike, superhero, or a boss from The Legend of Zelda. And no, this isn't a Thunderbird either, despite being a bird made of thunder. This is actually closer to the cryptid in question when considering its origin. So we've got a head full of thunder and birds, somewhere between a colossal thunder god and a 9-volt pigeon. And you may be wondering, is it real? The only thing the Thunderbird really has going for it is the ambiguity of what a Thunderbird is. So we're going to have to zone in on each key aspect that makes up the creature. First, size. I sincerely doubt a creature could remain hidden if it were the size of a small aeroplane. A bird with a 3 to 4 meter wingspan though, isn't that uncommon. There are species of bird that can easily reach this size, including condors and vultures, and even larger than that when you consider prehistoric species. Imagine an emu that can fly. Terrifying. The main theory on this is based around how humans judge size. If you're looking at a distant object, you can judge its proportions by comparing its size to its distance from an object you recognize. So, if you're looking up at a bird in the middle of the desert with no reference points, your brain's going to have to fill in the blanks about its size. It's not unlikely that people would see birds flying across the desert, and this would just explain why their size is always misjudged. It's never as big as they say it is. But assuming it's still a large bird, let's carry on, like a vulture. Anyway, thunder! As fictional as it sounds, there's actually a fairly simple explanation to this element as well. Considering birds have to travel great distances when crossing deserts, they have to employ energy-conserving strategies. The theory is that birds catch drafts caused by large storms to glide long distances with a technique called thermal soaring. While they're simply using the storm to catch a free ride, to onlookers it may appear that the bird is conjuring a storm behind it. I could go into why I don't think a bird could shoot lightning from its eyes, but I think it'd be much easier to just leave that in the mythology basket for now. Existence. This is the final hurdle for all cryptids. How could it exist? And more importantly, how could it avoid detection? In 1890, a story was published about two ranchers that supposedly shot and killed a giant winged monster in Arizona. It looked like a giant alligator with wings and a hairless and featherless body. It's almost as if you can't talk about a winged cryptid without somebody tying it to a pterosaur. As usual, the body wasn't preserved, and the photo taken of it was lost. This account is mostly considered just an urban legend, but many people, including famous cryptozoologist Ivan T. Sanderson, swear they once saw the photo before it disappeared. American researcher Jerome Clark speculates that the image was just a product of false memory, since the description of the image is so evocative, it makes you think you may have seen it. An old-timey photo of people standing next to a giant dead bird? Yeah, I think I've seen that. It's like on Instagram or something? In fact, none of these stories ever yielded any physical evidence. Even the boy that was supposedly picked up didn't have so much as a feather or a scratch to show for it. There is one saving grace for the Thunderbird that would at least explain why a body was never found. It's possible that the Thunderbird isn't from the United States. Some species of bird migrate halfway across the earth, and some species have been known to stay airborne for over 6 months. There isn't enough food in the deserts of the United States to support such a gigantic creature anyway, and it would explain why no physical evidence has been found. But at the end of the day, I don't think the Thunderbird is real. A bird of this size couldn't remain undetected while flying across open desert skies, especially in a generation where everyone has a camera at hand. I think people really did see giant birds. They were just real giant birds that we already know about, like the condor. Hell, if you go back far enough, it may have even been a pterosaur. I think it is a cool cryptid though. Just colossal sizes and control over lightning may have to stay as mythology for now. For now. Come on!